Hi, I'm Tyson.
I'm Colin.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Adam.
And we're the Gamesmiths, and we're here to learn how to play Belief in the Old Gods. Ryan's going to teach us the rules.
All right. Belief in the Old Gods, a game about the old gods and the cultists that love them. You and the other players are great old ones, slumbering beneath the sea, buried underground, or floating amongst the stars. The denizens of earth plead and pray for your return, rousing you from your sleep. The first great old one to awaken shall bring forth the end of days. The objective is to have the greatest number of cubes on all the location tiles matching the cultist icons on the cards that are worshiping you. These cards will be under your great old one at the end of the game. At the end of the game, each player, as we move throughout the game, we will both be playing cards to manipulate the number of cubes on the board, as well as putting cards underneath our old god that we are representing to score points. And at the end of the game, we're going to reveal the cards that we've hidden underneath our old god. And for each card, you receive 1 point for any cultist on the board matching that color. So you're essentially, so if you have four, essentially if you have, you're going to have, I believe, 4 cards under there at the end of the game. So if you flip it over and you have 4 green cards, for every green cultist on the board, you'll get 4 points, essentially.
It doesn't matter where they are on the board?
Correct, anywhere on the board. Or if you have just one, if you have one of each color, Adam here would get, say, with the 2 yellows, he'd get 2 points for every yellow, 1 point for every green, and 1 point for every orange, if these were his 4. So that's just kind of it's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so the least sane player is going to go first and take the starting player card. That is? I think it's Colin. Colin's the crazy person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
You're the one that's most likely to be yelling by the end of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. I could get on board with that.
Place the board game in the center of the play area. Well done, team. So now we're going to shuffle the great old one cards that I got here. These represent the possible gods that we have. And we're going to do 4, since we have 4 players, plus 1. And then since Colin is our first player, he is going to basically just pick one of these. They all have different abilities, and you'll get to use that ability once per turn. I suppose this is a good time to explain the icons. Mm-hmm. The icons, we basically have two types of icons. 3 types of icons. We have the affliction tokens, which are basically destroy cultists, gathering tokens, which bring in cultists, and then these square tokens, which are the cultists, essentially. If your card has an in arrow like this, that means you're adding something to the board, and if it has an out arrow, it means you're removing something from the board. So this god would be able to remove 1 cultist from the board every turn. This one would be able to place 1 every turn. This one's going to be able to place an affliction token. And then this one kind of has a unique ability where you can discard a card face down, then draw a card, straightforward enough. And then Yig here has these move symbols. For each one of these symbols on a card, you'll see them all over here too. You'll be able to move 1 cube, 1 adjacent space. And adjacent spaces are either right on top of each other, like Innsmouth, Dunwich, and Salem. And London and Stonehenge are considered adjacent, and then also anything that's connected by a dot. So the one kind of tricky thing is essentially all 3 of these locations are kind of housed at this star, just like London and Stonehenge are both kind of housed at this star. So London and Stonehenge are both considered right next to Moscow. You don't have to say go through Stonehenge to get to London. So from Stonehenge, you can go to London, Moscow, Rome, New York, and you can go to, not New York, but and then the New England locations. So
Oh,
just
okay.
by following the dotted line. So this star
Is
takes
New
you
York,
to this star.
New York below that then?
Yes, and then
Okay.
New York has its own little star. So yeah, from Stonehenge, like I said, you can get to London, Moscow, Rome, or New England essentially.
Cluster.
So just keep that in mind throughout the game. So we'll each take one. So just go ahead and grab one. We'll redo this for the actual game. So everyone's just gonna, yeah. So we're in theory only 5 of them will be out. So we'll all take one, and then the last one is just gonna go back in the deck. So then we'll all just go ahead and set out our old one in front of us.
Pick the one that's really hard to say.
Right? I got good old-fashioned Cthulhu,
Okay.
classic, or Cthulhu, if you will. I don't know. Tomato giant squid monster. Then we're going to deal out 8 cards to each player. We've already done that. And starting with the first, so, oh, no, skip one step. We're going to randomize it up with the bag here. The bag has 4 cubes of each color, and then we're going to randomly distribute 3 cubes from the bag to each location to kind of get things started. We're not going to do that all right now. It's a little unnecessary for the demo, but we'll throw a few out there to play around with.
Okay, so no one has a color. No one owns a color.
Correct. No, yeah, you're
just
going to
deciding.
secretly do that. So we each get our hand. There is an option that after we're each dealt our 8 starting cards, we can draft instead of just keeping our opening hands. But since we don't really necessarily have a big picture strategy yet, we'll just go ahead and play with our opening hands this
Okay.
time. But as you play, that can add some variation to the game. So then everybody gets their hands. The Harbinger cards are set out here for everybody to see, and everybody has their creature in front of them. So for the sake of the demo here, I'll go first. But the ritual starts with, so can I have the starting player token? So I'll just be the starting player token for the demo here, since I know what's happening. So the first thing you're going to do is everybody is going to perform a ritual before we take our turn. And the ritual will be choosing 1 card out of your hand and putting it underneath your old god. And remember, this is how we score points. So I'm going to take this green one, or wait a minute. So there's a bunch of white tokens out there right now. Obviously, the start of the game would normally be balanced, but I can look. I see white's pretty good.
What's a white outline
that's a
with
black.
a black? Okay.
Yeah, so
that
this is white.
black. Okay.
So just put it upside down.
So so then you just put it underneath your old god upside down. And now you've kind of, I've just said I'm going to try and score some, white points this game. So just go ahead and do that, stick that under there, and then I will get to do my turn. If there are any locations with affliction or ritual tokens, I will resolve those first. So I look at the ritual token, or I see this one has the first thing you do.
Which
is,
one's affliction, by the way? I thought red was.
I'm
The-
sorry.
the
The
green
green
one.
is our afflictions. Red are gatherings.
Okay.
So the green affliction means you're going to remove 1 cultist at each location. And so since it's my turn, I'm going to say, all right, well, this one has an affliction. I'm not scoring any points on red. I'm just going to pull this red guy off. And then I look here, and there's a ritual. I get to add a token of a color that's already present here. So from white, green, and blue, I get to pick to add one. And since I chose white earlier, I'm going to, add a white one there. So now we've got that. Then I can perform the next steps in any order. I can play an abomination card from my hand, which means I just basically get to do these things. So I'll say play Call of Cthulhu, which means I can add 1 ritual to the board. So I'll add a ritual, say here in this heavy white area. I can remove 1 affliction from the board, so I'll do that. And then I can also add a token to the board. When you're adding a token, there always has to be a token of that color already in that spot.
Okay.
The only time you can add a token of any color is if you have a card that says it, like this, or if there's none of that color on the board. So, right now we don't have any yellows on the board, for example. So I could add a yellow because there are no yellows on the board. But now there's a yellow on the board, so any further yellows would have to go to Stonehenge or use a move card to move them around. And
So wait,
that
you were
resolves his
able to
card.
add a color that was not already there?
Correct, because there's no yellow on the board anywhere. Only if there's no of that
gotcha.
color on the board anywhere. Other than that, you know,
What
I
if
would
all
have-
the colors are on the board? You can't put one, or
you have to either put one that's already there. So if all the colors are on the
okay.
board, then I'd have to put a white or a green one
sure.
here. But since we say we have no yellows, I can say throw a yellow there. Then you can use and flip over a Harbinger card. So then I get to choose one of these from the top, and this is like a group pool of cards that we can all use. And I am going to then, use this card here that will allow me to add another ritual and move one token. And so I'll, maybe move this pink one out of here. So now I've started another ritual and I've used this card and I'll flip it over. And that's going to be basically exhausted for this round.
Okay.
And then I'm also allowed to use my Great Old One card. And then, oh no, I'm sorry, and you must perform all of these. So I can't not. So as Cthulhu, I just also have to add an affliction. And I'm going to say, well, I've got no white at any of these places, so I'm going to add the affliction here.
Okay.
So now I've got, rituals going everywhere. There's white and, the one place. And so, I've kind of set myself up to increase the whites on the board and win that way. On your turn, you make all game decisions. You have to fulfill as much of each action as possible. And then once I've completed my actions, then I will pass on to you clockwise, and you'll do the same thing.
Do we draw cards at any point?
Nope. So when all players have no cards in hand, the game is over. So you're just going to play out the 8 that you have. So if I do my math right, that's 4 underneath, 4 played out onto the board, and then you'll get to use these 4 times and your Cthulhu power 4 times, essentially. And it switches depending on how many people are playing the game. So that'll be that. When the game is over, gathering and affliction tokens will add or remove 1 cube of each color at every location one last time.
Say that again.
At the end of the game.
Gathering and affliction tokens will add or remove 1 cube of each color at every location one last time. Meaning,
Wow.
this location, it would lose all of these, it would just be gone. And this location would get 1 white added, 1 green added, and 1 yellow added.
At the end of the turn?
At the end of the game,
Oh, okay.
Wow.
each will have 1 of each color. Then you reveal what's underneath, score points like we discussed earlier, and the player with the most points awakens from their slumber and brings forth the end of days.
So we're all fighting to end the world.
Yeah.
Correct.
Who gets to end the world?
Correct.
As I thought.
This is what happens in the underworld.
Correct.
Like they're all fighting to.
So whoever gets the most Twitter followers gets to end the world.
I am really motivated to be the one to end the world.
Good stuff.
So
Yeah. So
I will bring forth the apocalypse,
As long as I can play
and you will not
cannibalism.
stop me.
and
I'm ready to
the
see him
Harbinger.
not win another
So
game.
just so you know, the Harbinger cards are flipped over one at a time until only one is left face up, and then they all reset.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of go on their own little clock.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so to clarify, when is a card added under? At the start of the whole round? At
the start of the
all
round.
4 of us go, then
Right.
another card
all
is
4
added.
of us go, yeah. So we all hide, then we each take a turn, and then all pass the
And
starting
in that
player.
turn, we're playing one of these,
Right.
and at the start of the whole round, we're hiding
Right,
one of
when
these.
I pass the starting player to Tyson, we'll re-hide a second card
Okay.
and
And
do
is-
another round of play.
Is this part on the map, is this the turn order, the way things go, to
Yes.
follow along? Or what is this about?
That was what I was wondering.
I do not know. It is not mentioned in the
Last
rules
player,
anywhere.
cultist worship. Select a
Are you
card
sure?
from your hand to
Yeah.
commit and place it beneath your great one.
I think it's just the turn reference. So once this is passed, the last player gets it, right? Once it's the last player's turn, then you do the cultist worship, and everybody puts it behind them. Then the first.
I think this is different. I think this is not. I think this is old. I don't think this is current. Because the new rules are everybody. Because right now this is saying who's ever last.
Yeah.
Would yeah. So right now this is saying like Adam would put a cultist underneath there, and then I would play my turn, and then second to last would be Colin, so he would hide a cultist, and then you would take your turn, and then third to last would be
Yeah, it effectively does what you said. It's just
right.
it
And
was
so I think
simultaneous
this is
or something.
Right.
is
I
what
think
it
this is a
looks
little
like.
more convoluted.
Yeah.
Old method of turn taking. So we're going to go with what's in the rules, and the rules don't say much about that. So
Okay.
those are that. Any other questions?
When do these get recycled? Flip back over?
When only one is showing up.
Okay, so we'll play 4 of them, and
Five.
then the next person will play 1, and
Right.
so it'll get into the next round the first time. So it'll
Correct.
kind of be off. Okay,
Correct.
and then it'll all flip. Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's that. Those are the rules, and we'll see you in the game.